Hello and welcome everybody. Yes, we are back. The crew is back and ready to go. I missed you all last week. Thank you for your kind wishes. I had came back to New York City. There's no cactus behind me this week, as Steve had mentioned when I got on. I had to fly back from from Arizona to New York to be with family, and I want to thank you all for your kind wishes. My grandmother is stable, 103 years old, and doing well, but you know, it was a little dicey there. So I had to run back and did not want to miss my grandmother. I wanted to be there for her in a loving, caring way. So thank you, Steve, for stepping in, and my fellow panelists. I can't believe, what the heck week are we in? Is it March 97th? I think it's March 97th. I don't know. What do you got, Steve? You're going to say something. Go ahead, my friend.
I was going to say, I was trying to do the math on it, and I had to ask, it's, I want to say like 12. I think it's 9, but that doesn't even seem right. I mean, it's 9 weeks. It's a lot.
We're 10 weeks in, right? This is week 10, I believe. Yeah. So week 10 for the Certainty webinar. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us week in and week out. As we go back to work, we start getting over the hump, and we're going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about, I've had the privilege and opportunity to talk to teams from 35 states, I would say, in the past 2 weeks. So I have like the latest and greatest on what's happening in each of the states and some of the high points, the low points. You know, one of the things that's going on big time right now is, you know, it's not like riding a bike. Like when you get off a bike, you can get back on a bike. It's actually worse than getting back on a bike, because you're going, what if, and what if, and what if, and what about that? And should I think about this? And what happened here? We're gonna just rest, welcome, settle in, get your feet under you. We're gonna talk about the things. We're gonna give you the structure, give you the support to really quiet your mind. And some great news. We had our first group in Kansas went back. They were up $27,000 in 1 week above their normal amount. So for those of you that are worried about people coming back, we can put that to rest now. I've also had people on the other side that don't have people showing up. We're going to give you the reasons behind all these things and give you the support as well. So, you know, let's dive right in. Let's go after it. Let me get with my colleagues. Let's go to the lady first. We're going to go to Tanya. And Tanya, bring us up to date on the latest in the clinical world, the world of hydrogen peroxide. What is happening in PerioProtect land?
Well, thanks, Gary, and everybody. It's so good to see you. I'm still working from home, so I just want to say I'm really glad to be here. And honestly, I've got a phone from work. It rings right through. We're starting to talk to offices. People are back in their offices now, and that part is exciting. And I'm hearing some of the same challenges and successes that you are. So since we're in this new phase where people are trying to figure out how to move forward, PerioProtect is really committed to partnering with you all. We have special COVID recovery pricing on perio trays. They're $68.95 a tray. And Canadians, I have some good news. The labs in Canada are not open yet, but they are open to giving you guys a special price there too. So thrilled to be able to announce that. And I will send you individually, you know who you are, the information that you've requested as soon as I have all of it. We also, we had 650 people come to a webinar a week ago on the science behind PerioProtect. On the 22nd of May, so not this Friday, but next, we're doing protocols and procedures. So it's all really practical, step by step. This is the information you need. It is the same webinar. It's offered 2 times, and they just put the links in there. So one link is for 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and the next one would be 2 p.m. Central or 3 p.m. Eastern, and of course 12 if you're on the West Coast. So they're free. There is no CE for this. We're really product specific. You've got Dwayne Keller and Liz Nee. She's one of our awesome team trainers, and really step by step by step. This is excellent if you've got a new team member. So one thing I'm hearing, Gary, and maybe you guys are hearing it too, that they're bringing new team members in, shaking things up a little bit. Some folks who are not coming back, some people who are retiring. or they're just reorganizing how they do a lot of things. So there's a lot of room for people who need that extra space. And if you need any kind of training, just be sure to let me know. So I see my information up there in the chat. Please reach out at any time.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya. And if you are not using hydrogen peroxide as treatment, I highly, 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 highly recommend it, especially in the markets that cannot go back with ultrasonics. People that have to go back to hand scaling, and if you're going to go back to using hand scaling in the first month, add that with PerioProtect trays. My whole family and I are, I know it's not indicated, but because we're swishing with hydrogen peroxide, my son and my wife we're in New York City. We're doing everything we can to prevent. I know it's not indicated like that, but it's like, we're all in on this bad boy. And look, it's better than nothing. And it's got a good indication for sterilizing N95 masks, and swishing at the ADA is saying swish twice for 30 seconds. That tells me that we should have trays in at least twice a day. And that's how we are operating from. So thank you, Tanya, for having the product where who knew that the marketing and everything would fit right into whole body health. So thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for providing that. Thanks for being on this. Let's go to banking and banking Bob. Bob, the banker. What are you doing, Bob?
Oh my gosh, I'm back. And I just want to say, hello, Mr. Run GLK. I saw your Facebook. I'm going to bring that one up for sure. Wow.
Oh my God. So if you haven't seen it, what I did was I filmed, one of my dreams was to film I'm Down with OPP parody to I'm Down with PPP. Yeah, you know me. And so, and by the way, please friend me on Facebook so that you can be a part of my rapperhood. So you'll love it on Facebook. It was great. I'm glad you saw that, Bob. And it was paying homage to my, Snoop Bobby Bob, my West Coast rapper.
Exactly. I felt left out on that one. I want you to know. I felt like I should have been there. So first of all, I just am very excited to say that I'm not going to talk about PPP loans today because I've only been talking about that for the past how many weeks. If you haven't received your PPP loan, I think that there are some banks out there still accepting applications. So that's all I'm saying about that. But I definitely want to bring up what's really important now is obviously the cash flow. Cash flow definitely matters moving forward in your practice. So let me see if I can get this to move. All right. So, here's really what I've really learned, and I think we all can share this as well. But history has shown that, when we're going through these, these times, especially like when we went through the recession and so on, the one thing that we know is that the doctors that really came out on top were the doctors that were really focusing on what it was that they could do to take control of the situation and not really blame on what's going on around them, because there's nothing that you can do about what's going on around you. The only thing that you can do is really take control of yourself and take control of what you can do to make a difference. So primarily, obviously, what I would say is to take inventory of what wasn't working before this all took place. Obviously, systems and team members that maybe weren't working in the practice, to really focus on that and focus on what you're going to do moving forward, focus on the solutions and implement your plan and take control. Then, basically what you've got is make the comeback stronger than the setback. And I think that that's what we all are working on. What's most important right now is all about cash flow, systems, the message that you're going to get out to the community, your patients and your team. And primarily it's about strengthening the foundation of your practice. I know I've brought this up before, but I think this is really the most important part about it, is to focus on refinancing and consolidating your current practice stat. And if you need to get additional cash out, definitely, focus on getting that right now. The recovery blueprint program, awesome program. You need to get involved with that for sure. Implement the new marketing platform. Obviously, we've got Dr. Genius on here, and highly recommend that you really contact them about this. And implement your healthy solutions through PerioProtect. So obviously, when it comes to consolidating your practice debt, take really an inventory of what you've got as far as debt in your practice, such as your practice loans, your equipment loans, credit card debt, any other outstanding debt that you might have. And let's look at, again, I brought this up last time, but I just really want to hopefully bring this home to everybody. It's all about, what it is that you're currently paying now. I know that some of you are thinking, oh my gosh, I'm almost done, paying off that loan or whatever it may be. Right now is not really the time to focus on that, but it's really to focus on how you're going to free up that cash flow. So let's take this $480,000, add in there the PPE items that you need. Along with that, the marketing packages that you really need and some cash out. Basically $578,000. Your new monthly payment on that would be around $5,851 as this example shows. And a total savings of $3,701. I just wanted to show this a little bit more, talking about also adding in just your Dr. Genius marketing. I think that you'll see that on here is your necessary PPE items that you need to invest in, your Dr. Genius marketing package for $23,000, and then also cash out for $50,000. And we're also showing what the loan actually looks like. I'm going to go into our next slide, giving you a better indication of how that all looks, but it's all about refinancing, consolidating, and cash out, 10-year fixed rates, maximum loan up to 100% of your collections, allows 6 months of zero payments. And I want you to really focus on that as well right now. For those of you that are coming out of maybe deferred payments right now, you've already deferred your payments 2 to 3 months. If you can defer it another 6 months, then you're still saving even more money. And that's really what I want you to look at, because I think this really speaks volumes. Primarily, as I showed you in that example, just 6 months of savings on the particular example that I showed you was $22,000 in 6 months. Annually, that comes out to be about $44,000. 6 months of no payments on that particular loan was $35,000. Your total annual savings is $79,000. So the bottom line is, what could you do with all of that? So free up your cash flow, build up your cash reserves, invest and implement safe and healthy measures in your practice, invest in marketing that promotes health and safety in your practice, and fine-tune your systems that will promote profitability. So there is my information one more time, and that is it, Gary.
Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
Thank you for making a difference. I know of about 4 or 5 people that you took in impossible situations and reorganized them, and now they're in a stronghold position, and now they can think and grow out of this. So you're a magic man. I've never seen some of the things that needed to be done. You got it done for really people that were like in unhopeful positions, and you turn them right into a place of certainty and have a big future. And so you're a magic man. Thank you so much for what you provide people.
No, thank you. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of this panel. I've met so many amazing doctors on this panel, and just really loved helping all of them.
Yep. We're going to keep it going, and let's move over to, let's go down. Speaking of marketing and communication, it's game time. Opening up, we got Andrew Lopez, fresh off a nice weekend stint with his family and his dog and his Mercedes. What do you call that thing?
It's a Sprinter motorhome little thing.
Sprinter motorhome. I saw that.
We had a blast. I mean, we got out there in some remote social distancing. Couldn't touch anybody with a 100-foot pole. So yeah, we definitely enjoyed it. It was much needed. And thank you. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. All the mamas out there.
Yes.
I want to say happy Mother's Day to my beautiful wife. 19 years, cancer-free, 2 babies later, home birth. She's handling it like a champ. And it really came down to, you know, their health. We changed a lot. You know, complete health is everything. And that's why I love being part of this panel. It's so awesome because it's really what we stand for in our family. And I want to open this up and share my screen real quick because we have a little raffle to finish up on. So a few episodes ago, we had the raffle for the free website and we had everybody submit their information. So now we're going to take the wheel and spin this bad boy to see who wins a free website. Dr. Genius. Yes, surprise, surprise, Gary. Here we go.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Cross your fingers if you submitted your information. And
No way.
Dr. Kevin has won. Okay,
that's
so
awesome.
There's our winner. We'll have someone reach out to you, Dr. Kevin, to get everything set up for you. Thank you for everyone for submitting your information. I'm sure you've heard from us. And if there's anything we can help out with, feel free to give us a call. Now, hey,
Kevin Bone had 2. He has 2 on there. He has 2. Is that fair?
Does he have 2 locations?
He must have 2 locations because I'm pulling for some of the other people. I like Kevin Bone, but he might be Bone. But anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on.
So I want to, you know, thank Bob for, you know, mentioning Dr. Genius there and, you know, getting down to the strategy and, you know, coming back to the office, you know, because now's the time, right? We're coming back. The searches we're seeing the incline as, you know, Gary, you know, mentioned there's the practice that, you know, hit their numbers. So I just, this morning, I was kind of curious. I wanted to see what the terms were being searched, you know, and what's going on out there in the landscape. This report is really going to show one reason why Google Ads or, you know, PPC, pay-per-click is really an expensive way to go about things. It's like that quick fix type thing. For this right here, you can see, I just did a quick report on these 5 keywords. And you can see it was a monthly spend of about $1,600. And Google's telling you, this is the one selling you the clicks. They're telling you that you're not going to get any conversions from this, right? But I want you to take a look at the impressions. So biological dentist, 4,400 impressions. That means it came up 4,400 times. Those individuals were actually searching that phrase. Same thing with holistic dentist. You know, we see complete health starting to come up there, up the ranks. And then you see, can I go to the dentist? Is it safe to go to the dentist? So I want everyone to take in consideration, do a screenshot, whatever you need to do. But these are topics to start writing the content about, because now if you start embedding this content into your website, part of our strategy, and onto your social platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you're going to start creating the authority for these search terms so individuals are going to be able to find you. And this is what's being searched. And you know, I mean, the value of it right there, conversion value, I'm sure is well over $28 for you guys, but this is what Google's saying it's worth. So with Dr. Genius, you know, with our solution, it's a one-time setup fee and a monthly service fee. There's no long-term contracts. It's $5.99 a month. That generates anywhere between 10 to 20 new patient inquiries. So a third of what they're suggesting, which is getting nothing, right? Because they know that's the spend of what, you know, maybe a dental practice could afford. But really the result is, you know, null. So I take that in consideration when you are planning your marketing strategies, even if you're not using Dr. Genius. We do provide a platform to where you can track everything. We're transparent. So feel free to reach out. I believe my contact information is there, or you can go to drgenius.com. But thank you for everyone for plugging in. If there's anything we can do, please reach out. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I love that you want to just notice where the market is going. I'm going to be talking about this. The practices that have dentistry equals health versus dentistry equals pain and relief from pain is where the puck's going to be. The puck is going to be that the practices that have dentistry equals health, if they believe in that philosophy, that those are the practices that have the patients knocking on the door going, I need to get healthy, I need to be taken care of. The practices that are not are the ones that have been symptoms fixing only. Find the symptom, find the chief complaint, fix it. This is where the separation is happening in those practices that are coming back. The ones that have trained their patients that dentistry equals health are slammed because they know the need is already here. The ones that don't have any pain go, I don't need to go to the dentist right now. I got other things to worry about. So this is where the patient's going to be, the new patient is. We'll talk more about that. Andrew, thank you for giving us statistical information that we can use that validates and has us understand the new patient. They're typing that in to say, this is what we're looking for. You're amazing. We're grateful for you. Thank you so much, Andrew. The next game changer is Brian Laskin. I've had the privilege of working with Brian, and he's invented a systematic process that allows us to do something in dentistry that we've wanted to do our whole careers. And now this pandemic says, here, Brian Laskin, here's your magical formula. Please give it to the patient so that they can pay 3 days in advance and we don't have to see emergencies on the backside. Yay! Hi, Brian.
Hi, thank you very much. And I was wondering up until now what the voice of the global pandemic would be, and now we know. So thank you. That was amazing. That was great. Well, like a lot of you, so I am a dentist. My office is actually opening up tomorrow for urgent care. So in Minnesota, they said we can open up for not just emergency care, and then they freaked out and said, well, you can't see everybody, just urgent. So I don't even know what that means, but I know that you can't triage it without getting information from patients. And so teledentistry is becoming more vitally important than ever. And we're reaching out to our patients now, asking them to come back in. And if you haven't seen, there's been just this escalation in news articles about dentistry and the dangers, and hygienists being the number one at risk for getting COVID. And this has really made national news now. And so we're seeing, we've talked before on through this whole process about how we're going to be in the confidence game for a while. I think the game has become, we've gone from high school level to really professional level of this game, where we really need to focus on it. So those of you that are engaged, I think it's vitally important that you're here. I think the whole health messaging that we're today is way more important than it was even a week ago, based on what I'm hearing from patients and from my team members. By the way, in the last 6 months, I've had all 4 full-time general dentists go on maternity leave, one which is out. And I just found out that 3 of the 4 of my full-time hygienists became pregnant during maternity leave. So, or during this COVID process. So if you want to get pregnant, come work at my office. So that's, and I also have a dentist going on jury duty next week. So it's like, I think everybody's trying to make my office manager's life hell. But so thank you for being here. I wanted to also, I'll share my screen too, because I know before this call, people were asking on the WhatsApp about our forms that we went through. So within OperaDDS, it's very easy to send any form to anybody. You can just click here and then type in the patient's name, and it searches your database, and you can either text or email depending on what you have. So you can send people their forms. And the 2 forms that people have been asking about are our pre-screening form. Oop, that's the different one. The pre-screening form, which is we put together that the CDC came up with. It's this form here. I sent a link to Ryan so he can put it in the chat to this specific form. So if you want to take a peek at it.
Yep.
Oh, great. Great. And, keep in mind that we do have OperaDDS for free with, no risk. So if you go to operadds.com/NextLevel, you can try them out. And then, one thing you may want to do, it's very easy to modify your forms. You could put a spot for the patient's temperature if you want to here. That's what we did at my office. But then we also have our virtual check-in. So people can, from the parking lot, you can text them, you can put this in their reminders, and they check the box when they're ready for their appointment. And when it comes in on your end, you'll see the patient's name that they've checked in. At my office too, you can easily add an uploader, and where you ask people if there's insurance updates, they can just with their phone take a picture of their card and add it to this. So, what I loved Gary's term that he had the last time he was on this, where he said it's not just paperless, it's touchless. So I would urge everybody to get paperless forms that you can send to the patient's own device. Even if you hand them an iPad today, I think the patient's going to be thinking, who's touched this iPad and how have you sterilized it? So in the interest of whole health, I think being able to send forms to patients' own devices is vitally important. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I'm going to just pick up on that before I go to Steve next. I just want to give you one of the things that everybody asked me for is the script on what to do and how to incorporate that pre-call with the teledentistry on the front end with the form. So I'm just going to do that real quick. And this, you can screenshot this if you want to take a picture for anybody that's watching out there, just to get some language for yourself. This has been the #1 thing that people have been asking me. So in combination with OperaDDS, you contact the patient 3 days before and you say, thank you for being a patient. We're looking forward to seeing you in 3 days. We want to give you an update on the advancements that we made so that you can know that you're safe and we're safe as well. The first thing we did was we make sure we secured proper PPE equipment, which includes mask, gowns, and screen shields. We've also addressed the air quality, and we have air quality assurance. We have UV lights for our heating, air conditioning, and water lines. We also have air purifiers. And for those of you that are in the non-ultrasonic, where you have states that will not allow you to use ultrasonics and you're coming back with hand scaling. By the way, I'm a great hand scaler. When I was away, I couldn't get to my hygienist, I hand scaled my lower anteriors. Oh man, I wish I was a hygienist. There's nothing cooler than plucking out that buildup in the lower anteriors. Just getting back here. Air quality assurance we took care of. And if you're hand scaling, you say, look, some of our practices, they were saying, well, we're not going to use the hand scaler. You can choose whether to come in or not. I don't recommend that. I recommend saying, use it as the context of a positive thing. We're actually going to do, instead of, the machine that we use to clean your teeth, we're actually going back to the old way we used to do it, which is called hand scaling. So that's going to be keeping our air purified. And then we have our physical flow. We call it no-weight dentistry. So what we're going to do is when you get here, we're going to send you a text that's going to let you know, and you just click when you're here, and then we're going to invite you in. This is how we're going to social distance. Rather than having people in our reception area, we're going to actually have no-weight dentistry. You'll stay in the parking lot. We'll alert you, you alert us, and then we'll come in. We also have one-way flow. So if you've been to Rouse, you go down this way and nobody will crisscross through the practice. We're going to actually do a circular flow. We also have what we call our no-touch front office. So we now have plexiglass screens for our team in the front to keep them safe and you safe. We're also doing these 3-day confirmations, and we have something called teledentistry, which is we're going to send you, you're going to take care of your, we don't want to transact credit cards. So we're going to take care of your payment today. And then this way you don't have to stop at the front office. We could just have you move forward. When we say no touch, we're building a whole no touch. I was, someone else down the street from you, Holger Meiser, is, doing no touch, impressions. So we are moving to a no touch or a low touch dental office as much as possible. So no touch or low touch, whatever you feel is appropriate. And then lastly, we are a complete health practice, which means, people are wearing masks because the mouth matters and what gets exchanged and bacteria in the mouth matters. So, you don't see people wearing eye masks or ear muffs. They're wearing masks because the mouth matters. And we are rooted in using hydrogen peroxide according to the ADA to swish twice before we treat you, so that arrests the virus. Also, the mouth is the front line for whole body health. We also have treatment around using hydrogen peroxide, and the benefit is you get your teeth healthy and they get white. So we want to let you know that we take care of the whole health of a person, and we've done these 5 things. The thing is, don't map your fears or lack of fear to this. What we call speak to the 10, speak to the 10 fear. If you speak to the 10 fear, then the person that's at a 5 fear is going, wow, they went overboard to take care of me. This is true. You want to do this for your team too, because there's a lot of team members that if you're not taking the time to tee them up, they're in doubts and they may not step onto the quarter play. So I just wanted to take a minute, Brian, to tie this into your system to let people know this is the script that they, a suggested script that they can use. Okay?
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Let's go to my man Steve out in the beautiful state of Indiana-tucky.
God's country. So Gary, first of all, I don't know where Gary was right before this, but I say afterwards, we all go there. You're fired up today.
Medical.
Being back in New York City, I can imagine. So I had two quick updates. One was I wanted to tell you the whole dentist posing naked in their practice in France to protest PPE. We cut that off. That's not coming here. So no worries there. Number 2 is, turns out it wasn't fake news. That was Gary Kadi in a cowboy hat. And also, thanks to my buddy Bob here, it turns out that also this is not fake news. This is Run GLK. I'm not even sure what that was about, Gary, but it was awesome.
It was the parody of You're Down with OPP. Yeah, you know me, Naughty by Nature.
Yeah.
And Steve, like back in the 90s, I was, a disco guy. And I wanted to make a video to say, I'm down with PPP. And it's a parody. And it worked.
It did.
I've been disowned on a lot of platforms, but I don't care.
Oh, I'm going to share it. We're going to help it go viral, Gary.
All right, thanks.
So I had a couple quick updates. I think a lot of you know I do the series called Coming Back Stronger for the Profitable Dentist Magazine. They're all, along with these episodes, on the Profitable Dentist Magazine Facebook page. So they're all together in a playlist. If you go to the magazine's Facebook page, click videos, you'll see these buckets. And in fact, this one will be in the bucket hopefully tomorrow. So when Ryan gets it to me. But through that, I've been having a lot of conversations with a lot of key opinion leaders, with a lot of regular dentists. A couple things have popped up. One is, I'll just tell you sort of an update of business, and one that's kind of a serious nature. I have a lot of connection with the lab world, so that's a little bit of the pulse of a dental practice. And so I made a call around this morning. And these are big labs and, medium-sized labs, one very, very large lab. They are at about 65% of their pre-COVID crown and bridge level. And that's last week, excuse me. So what that means is a lot of docs are coming back. A lot of docs are doing cases. Their average case size is up about 1.5 times, which means that practice owners are, instead of calling and saying, instead of push to get your hygiene patients in, which you need to do if you drive, restorative off of hygiene, but they're doing larger cases. And, this is more anecdotal, but just a call around is, hey doc, how come we're seeing this? And they said, we just started mining our treatment, our open treatment. And we just looked for cases that were, a bridge or 4 crowns or whatever it might be, and started calling these patients saying, listen, we'd like to get you in. And by the way, we know this is times are tough, but if you want to go ahead and do this case now, we'll do it for whatever. So dentists, those numbers kind of show that dentists are getting pretty creative, but labs are back to about 65% of what they were pre-corona. And most of the country isn't opened up until this week or next Monday. So back to Gary's point about workflow, I think if you manage it well, you can see a very large spike coming back. So And one other thing, and we have a good time here, and I thought this was important to mention. And I don't want to, be a downer here, but I had this conversation yesterday that really struck me. And I wanted to kind of go back to episode number 3. And again, if you haven't watched it, watch it, about mental health and dentistry. And, Gary, I know Gary knows Frank King very well. And, Frank is, he's a comedian that speaks on depression and suicide and specifically dentists. So I had a little disturbing conversation in which a dentist had a question, and he said, I don't know anybody who has died of COVID, but I know 2 colleagues who have committed suicide in the month of April. One was a classmate that was 47. The other was somebody that was practiced down the street from him that was very apparent he wasn't coming back, and he's 56. So what I want to say is, if you're a practice owner and that's in your head, and, I probably don't say it as well as a guy like Gary would say it, or Andrew, if that's what's in your head, reach out. Don't keep it to yourself. It's dentistry. I mean, it's a business, and if you're not one of them that comes back, you're still a dentist, and they're still, that's not the answer. So I just wanted to share that. It was a little disturbing when the guy said this. I called and checked, just to make sure this was, not somebody just saying it. And he was absolutely right, 2 dentists. So I don't know how chronic that is. I know the news is sort of saturated with some things, but, I think we've done a really good job of being a resource for our clients and practice owners. So I'd like to just, throw that out. Please don't think you're alone in this, and, reach out.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks for that message. We try to have some fun and we keep things light around here. But, as you know, I lost my mom. And, I also want to say the reason why I'm so passionate about suicide prevention, and that's why we had our therapist on, and Sally on, and Frank King on, and I'm dedicating my new book. All the proceeds from my new book is all going to suicide prevention. And the reason why is because I personally didn't want to live, and I didn't want to die. And I reached a point, as you know, I'm an alcoholic, 12 years sober, that, thank God I had something to live for. And I dedicated my whole career to being of service to the dental community, because I know how prevalent this is inside of it. And so, I lived in secret shame. I know what that's like. And I too support the message of, heartfelt message of, if there's any doubts about whether this life is worth living, just know that, you have a loving hand and you're not alone. There's loving people, compassionate, non-judgmental people who will be there next to you. And I know the voice inside our heads can get loud, and it can be real negative. I lived in that. But I do want to give hope to people. Don't give up until you have the miracle, because right on the other side of the severest depression and unwillingness to live is this possibility of a spiritual connection that's way bigger than you. And I'm a walking testament that sad, scary, depressed mind can turn into a bright beacon of light that can bring hope to other human beings. And so, I can speak about this because I lived through it. And, the people that get a second chance at life, their job, I believe, is to go give that to other people that may not have that in their bones or in their muscle or in their fiber to step out. And what we haven't been talking about since week 3, and thank you, Steve, for this, is that the pressures and the fear of the unknown and all the things that people are truly grappling with. See, I have the privilege, I decided that I'm working with people knee to knee, toe to toe, eye to eye, at least Zoom wise. And I decided that I'm taking on working with every client personally, because I want to know what's going on in the world of dentistry, where the boots are hitting the street from a transparent, authentic place. And what we have is a wide range of people living in a wide range of what to do. And here's part of the problem. What's happening in Nevada is not what's happening in Hayes, Kansas, which is not happening in Columbus, Ohio. There's no place to go to get a consistent message because everybody's living in different things. So what I decided to do was for the next 20 minutes is pull together these thoughts that will allow you to, like, I have to deal with every instance individually. I've never had to deal with it like I had to deal with it now. So just know you're not alone. Just know that for every problem, there's a solution. And just know that we're all in this. There's nobody exempt. So, and everybody's like, you know, if you ever been to a wedding and you don't know which drunk uncle's going to show up, like, oh crap, like, you know, to bring some levity to it, like the drunk uncle is going to show up and like, oh crap, he's going to start all this stuff. Like, get that's happens. So what I did was I put together some slides here to walk you through, because even coming onto this session, full transparency, I'm like, how in the heck do I deliver a message to 50 states? I'm speaking to a guy from Alaska tomorrow. How do I do this? Because what's going on in this practice is not here. So I'm going to give it to you in a succinct way. And then if you want help, we're giving scholarships out if you can't afford it, or we'll do whatever it is. We're all going to just jump in and go help you. There's a recovery blueprint if you want to do it at the end. So let me walk you through this. I put these together just to bring some semblance of what to do right now. All right, here we go. So the first is the gateway to complete health, which is the new norm. We've been talking about it on today's call. Facing the uncertainty and how to adjust and reopen your practice. Number one thing is to begin to think about, I've talked to people that have went on the Vivos. Thank you, Corbin Cowan, for giving access to our community, for getting people trained in sleep. Vivos is amazing. The work that Michael Gelb does is amazing in sleep. People are taking on sleep in a brand new way. That's important. But complete health in general is important right now. So this is the number one message that I want you to get. It is not a time for business as usual. Not only is this going to be a period, and I want to get the quote from Eric Nuss, he just sent it to me. It's the largest shift, not just in wealth, but in talent. So you're going to see a shift in wealth and in talent, like the talent shift from one practice to another, because those practices that make the unacceptable unacceptable. This is a term that I stand for. This is the difference maker. This is what I've been dealing with for the last 3 weeks, one-on-one with doctors. Dealing with people's health, their own, their teams, and then their patients. If you're not dealing with your own health, your team's health, and safety, and then the patients, that's a gap. The next is if you haven't dealt with your wealth, meaning if you haven't done your tax returns, that's why I love Bob on the call. If you haven't dealt with your debt, I've had people that have put their head in the sand with tax returns for like 7 years. They haven't done tax return, and it's causing them to confront it. There's no judgment. We can help you through anything, but you got to get the head out of the sand. And that's why if you haven't paid your taxes, come forth, raise your hand. There's no shame and guilt in that. Just get on the court. And I'm telling you, in a matter of weeks, we're cleaning this stuff up. If you haven't dealt with your wealth, if I had somebody with 8 different loans, Bob got in there, cleaned it up, and now we're cleaning her team up, and now she's going back a brand new place because she's decided that she was not going to go back to business as usual, and she made the unacceptable unacceptable. It's when you make the unacceptable acceptable that doesn't allow you to make the changes necessary. With regard to success, if you grappled with success, meaning you suffered around a profitability, you suffered around having the not the A team. You know how you don't have an A team? Let a B player or a C player hang out with A players. That'll kill off those A players right away. Absolutely. Don't allow that to happen. Stand for A players. This is going to be the biggest talent shift on the planet. I see it happening every day. We are writing ads that are saying, if you're not taken care of, if you don't have a safe environment, If you're looking to be where the puck's going to be, which is called complete health dentistry, if you want the latest in technology and you want a career-changing opportunity, this is it. You know, you can write the other one, which is like busy practice. Do you have Dentrix 9 to 5? You can have that ad too. But I'm telling you, you can attract really great people right now because team members, you know, I'm hearing a lot of this from team members. They're going, I'm not going to back work because that person is nasty, treated me poorly, and I'm out of here. I know a person that moved to Florida. She's like, you know what? People are getting truthful and they're getting really straight and transparent right now. And so this is the time. Get your head out of the sand, make it unacceptable, and look at your health, your wealth, your success. And this is the other thing, connected to your work, connected to people. The opposite of addiction is connection. And being connected to people makes the huge difference. And that's the difference maker. What I'm seeing right now, the practices that are just opening up to team members that are waffling and patients that are not showing up, it's because the leader didn't say, we are going to be standing for this, we're going to be operating this way, and whatever these things are. So I want to let you know, if you don't have things handled, no one does. Don't just sit back and go, oh, we're just going to kind of fake this back in. Get straight about things right now is what I'm saying. So it may seem like, I remember when my wife came to me and she said, Gary, you don't have to quit drinking, but you can't stay here. That's what she said to me. I love her for that, right? She was a stand for me. Be a stand for people. Now, what happens is I was trying to crawl out from a rock from that day, and then I looked at a mountain of like trying to quit for alcohol for the rest of my life. Impossible is for the unwilling. All you need to do is being willing. This was a picture right outside my son's school that was shut down. Willingness is all you need. If you're open and willing, everything is possible. So the purpose of this is to really provide you with the framework for thriving practice, and it's really to improve the health of the patient, practice, and team. So if you remember this, my millennial friends, this is called an Etch-a-Sketch. You used to, write on it. It used to look like that. And then you could turn it over and it would be blank again. I want to give you a tool that is a powerful, powerful tool. It's called a filter. A filter is a subconscious and automatic screening process that only validates your particular point of view. If you think that people can't afford dentistry, you will map that filter out and only find people not affording what you want to, not affording dentistry. If you go, everybody's going to be afraid because I'm afraid, you map that filter out and your speaking manifests the thing that you're thinking about. This is a game changer. We call it Etch-a-Sketch. Even if we all have our thoughts and beliefs, but just don't map those out on your patients. Don't map that out on your team. Have the distinction of curiosity and wonderment and go in there and say, we want you to know that we anticipated that you'll be concerned about this, this, and this. So here's what we've done. You see that now that fits because now you're speaking to the person from a preventive standpoint. Filters, be mindful of your filters that you map out on your team and map out on your patients. Powerful tool. This is the cover of my new book. It's the 8th edition, Bounce Back from Anything. Instead of just writing about the pandemic, there's common traits to come back from a crisis. And I identify in chapter 1 the 12 dirty dozen. There's 12 things that not every dentist, but every dentist that I've experienced had to go through one, two, or all 12 of these, from divorce to the team member leaving to your associate leaving and setting up shop down the street to personal stuff to family stuff. The key is that as a society, we're in a brand new place. So we have to speak to where society is. Here's some things. Most people don't take their health for granted under this because it's been in the conversation, right? Wouldn't you agree, panelists? It's like, this is all about like a new speaking into the listening of health. If you turn your practice into a healthcare provider and speak about whole body health, game changing. Video conferencing is the new norm. So we can now use video conferencing using in Brian's teledentistry. And guess what? We're reducing our emergencies and our post-op calls by using video education on the front end and then the back end video interaction. game changing. Also, case presentation via video conferencing. Oh, my husband, I need to talk to my husband. Great, let's schedule a video conference to go over your treatment plan, and you're showing them the bloody, films and intro camera shots, and it's all done via video conferencing. Working, if you have people that are entitled, thinking like, I'm not coming back because we literally have people going, I'm making more on unemployment. Can you pay me the same amount? And so many things that are happening because of this. If a team member does not feel gratitude for working with you and doesn't look at the mothership, I call the mothership like not just looking out for the self, but looking out for the greater good of all the people that work in the practice and the practice itself. If they're not looking at greater good and they're only looking at the individual, we is greater than me, you have to really look at that person. We're interviewing every single team member coming back into our practices, whether they're entitled or they're grateful. Abundance and scarcity. There's going to be some scarcity conversations. Yes, we've had an influx of unemployment and PPP, but we have to get better at showing value for the patient, because if we don't do that really well, they're going to go, I don't have money for this. So we have to get really good at patient education and making sure that the patient understands the true value, not just in the mouth, but for the impact that it has on the whole body. That's why you're reading medical history forms differently. Staff scarcity, we could not hire people before this. There's an unprecedented amount of people that are now available that were not available before. Like my friend Eric Nuss says, the biggest shift in talent that we're going to see ever in our industry. There's going to be a shift of wealth. The people that are not making new moves, they're not going to be as wealthy as those who are. And when I say wealthy, it's not just money. It's about having all of life work. And then consumer confidence is definitely going to be on safety, survival, and necessity things. If you look at dentistry as an elective versus a necessity, you can actually create it as a necessity if you really tie whole body health and prevention inside of that. If you're just going, hey, we just fix, pain and problems here, then it becomes like everything else that's asymptomatic becomes a want. So the last thing is breaking bureaucracy. People usually have a mask on and don't tell the truth. Right now, there's a listening for the truth. People want to be told the truth and facts. And there's also a space in society right now where they don't want to hear any dancing. They want to hear it straight. So a lot of doctors I found that acquiesce or avoid, they are looking for you to step up and tell the truth right now. And I know it might be hard to do that for some of you, but when you have a coach and a support structure, it's a lot easier because you're practicing, and then we help you with the muscle and you get confidence and you can go tell the truth. Please do not mince the truth in today's world. It's not going to allow your practice to run. It's not going to allow your team to be engaged, and so on. Panelists, is there anything you want to add here? Because I'm doing a lot of talking.
Yeah, I just wanted to add is, one of the points you touched on was, not accepting, the unacceptable in the practice and with your team, right? But I think that even goes in regards to complete health for the patient, right? And educating them on what's not acceptable now and what is the new norm, right? So if you, right here, disease, so if you come across these patients that, it's on their sleeve when they have heart disease or diabetes or so on and so forth, let's educate them. And how can we, get them to a better quality of life, right? Because it is obtainable. And if they're hearing it, like what Gary said, they want to hear it straight, and they don't want to hear, I don't know, if they're going to their regular, GP and they're treated like a number there. This is when we have a chance to change that, right? Not treat them like a number. And then so empower them to ask the right questions when they do go to see their GP next time, so maybe they can get, the answers that are really going to give them that quality of life. And, I think that was a great,
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. And these are the patient new norms. they are going to see that health is greater than disease. A big one, asymptomatic is now understood. It opens the door. People know what asymptomatic is. 90% of dentistry is asymptomatic. You need a healthy mouth baseline to educate people on what's healthy and what's not. You can go to my site at nextlevelpractice.com, healthy mouth baseline. You'll have a sample there. This teaches the patient what asymptomatic conditions are and what to look for. The inflammatory burden. This is huge. The Kawasaki issue with the young kids that are dying with the thrombotic issues. They're not dying from COVID. They're dying from the stuff that's happening inside, creating thrombus that are creating heart attacks at young people. That is an inflammatory burden. There's all the studies that are coming out are shortened. Like I just read about the New Cleveland Clinic study. There's an AMA study out on the inflammatory burden. We're going to be pulling all these evidence-based, science-backed studies that connect inflammation and the virus and comorbidities. If you know, instead of looking at a medical history form and saying, is there anything to update? Imagine sending it out in the teledentistry and getting the medical history form back and noticing that there's diabetes and obesity and there's all the top 3 on there. Now, when you speak to that, and then they have stuff going on in the mouth, taking care of the mouth, the health of the mouth, when they have those comorbidities, is a service to the patient, and they see you as an evolved practitioner. And then lastly, the practice ownership. I'm just going to pop these real quick before we wrap up for the day. This is key. Safety. In dentistry, we already went through it with hepatitis. We already went through it with AIDS. We have a high, profile around transmission, but we also have the highest defenses. So safety has to be number 1 in practice ownership. By the way, it's going to be about $15 to $18 more per patient per visit. So we need to also increase our fees to cover the PPE. So these are some elements in terms of profitability and solvency. This is an opportunity, doctors, to pay yourself first. If you've been paying yourself last, stop that. Do not go back. What we're doing is, in the recovery blueprints, I start with how much money do you need at home? How much money do you need to make? We're putting a plan together for June to December, and we're reverse engineering your expenses and your targets, and we're laying a game plan out. So you pay yourself first, because if your money's not right, you can't join the fight here. Leadership, there's 4 personas. I want to talk about 2 right now. The methodical thinker and the humanist. That is a typical leader that acquiesces and avoids. Right now, get help on moving past that, because if you can move past that right now, and I know it's a courageous act for you, this is the game changer, because you will have your team on board and your patients on board in a new way. Leadership cannot be passive or acquiescing or avoiding during these times. Management, we need to have a management structure that measures, monitors, and makes things right. Keep that low touch environment. And look, here's the thing we've learned. When the tide goes out, we know who's skinny dipping. Don't hang out with team members that are not players. You need players now. The biggest expense in dentistry is payroll. If you don't turn that into a profit center and you don't have each team member driving the practice, because expenses are going up even before. So if you had a problem with overhead before, please take care of it now. It's not going to be cheaper to run a practice. It's going to be more expensive. The source of the opportunity and source of the problem is return on investment for your team. And lastly is management by agreement. Who, what, and by when. Who's going to do it? What are you going to do? And by when do you get it done? And these are the 5 P's that we put in. I'm not going to go through those now. We'll save you from those. And we have a practice blueprint, recovery blueprint. It's going to be once a week for the month. You do it with me. We have a good time. We do it in a group, and we get GSD. We get done. And if that's what you want, and you need to confront, you need effort confronting, I'm your guy. Who would like to take us out? Who would like to share one thing that you'd like to highlight from our session today? Steve Parker, what do you got?
I still want to know what Gary was doing before this. No, this is, I think this is what this is about. I've been watching the comments and the questions down here. And one of the things I appreciate are the people who have watched over and over and over and are getting tons of takeaways. And, you know, I think this was a great session to just really transition to I think you're right on, the complete health dentistry, looking at the dentist as a part of the healthcare team, not just, you know, come in and get my tooth fixed. I think now the time is right. And I think you're spot on, Gary.
Beautiful. My ladies and gentlemen of my beautiful panel, I adore and love and respect you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to provide value for an amazing group of people. To the hundreds of people that join us each week, thank you and stay safe. Lots of love to you all.